Hi, this is Dr. Quevedo. Thank you for watching. In this video, we will transform the ER diagram design in part 1 into a set of relationships. In our previous video, we got the design of an ER diagram. That is the one that you are looking at your screen now. What we will do now is use the rules for transformation, the best match the transformation of the diagram into a set of schemas. What I said that the best match is because we need to identify the type of relationship, the cardinality, and that's the rule that we apply. So now there is not a specific area where we need to address first. So I just will start from the upper left side corner from here when I see members, and that there is a rectangle there that is called members, which is an entity set. And then members, what I need to check is around that rectangle how many relationships we have with that. So when I go around, I see that there is one that says has, I see another one that says involve, another one that says manager, and another one that says candidate. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 relationships. Those relationships are potential candidate keys. The candidate keys will be the ones that are from either one-to-many or one-to-one relationship. So now, if I got the many side, the many is the one that is going to send me the candidate key. By looking at that in the diagram, from membership, I see a one-to-many. That means I'm getting a candidate key from membership. Now, going into the involved relationship is a many-to-many. No candidate key from there. Manager, I see a one-to-one. When it's a one-to-one, I need to decide which one of the two entity sets will be better to hold the foreign key, either members or elections. Now, members, remember, that is optional to participate of an election. So maybe it doesn't make sense that we store the candidate key of an election because not every member will be a candidate. So then we will use the candidate key on elections. Now, the next one is candidate. Candidate, we got a one-to-many, but we don't have the many side. Therefore, it's only one candidate key that we're getting. So then this is the way that we do the transformation. Once I did that identification, I know that I'm going to have a relation called members. And then members, I'm going to go over the attributes that I have there. So I have a social security number, I have an age, I have a status, and I have a name, and that's it. I got those. Now, but I have a foreign key. The foreign key is coming from membership. And membership, the primary key there is email. So then I'm going to get email as a foreign key. The primary key here is the one that we underline in the entity set. So that was social security, so I will underline the social security number, and I will circle the foreign keys for me to remember later that needs to be specified as a foreign key. So now what I will do is that I will circle email address to remind me that that is a connection with another table. So then we're done with members, and I'm done with has. Let's now go with the entities set that says membership. So membership, if we go around, there is no other relationship but the one has that we already used to pass a foreign key to members. Therefore, membership doesn't have any foreign key. So membership, no foreign keys, and that's just going to list the attributes, which is going to be the email, the address, and the phone number. And we will underline email because that's the primary key. Okay, so we're done with that area in the diagram, members and membership. Now let's see down members. It says the entity set incidents. Incidents is participating only with one relationship, and that relationship is many-to-many. Many-to-many do not pass foreign keys. Then incidence doesn't have any foreign keys. However, one of the attributes is consequences, and consequences is multi-values. And on rule number 1, we say in the relational model, we cannot have multiple values. So we had to apply a specific rule for the transformations. So table incidence or relation incidence doesn't have a foreign key, It has an IID as the primary key. It has a title. It has a description. But I cannot include consequences there because consequences has multiple values. What the rule says is I had to create a separate table that is going to be a combination of the name of that entity set and the name of the multi-value attribute. So it's going to be incidents, maybe underscore consequences. That is going to have the primary key from the entity set, which is IID, and a consequence. And we underline both, so there will be a key. So that's one of the rules that we studied before to do this. So that will allow me that when somebody has a consequence, so there is the incident has a consequence, so there's going to be we're going to add one at a time into that separate table. Okay, so basically we're done with half of the diagram because we did members, membership, and incidents. Now there is involve. Involve, we say that is a relationship that is connecting members and incidents, and involve wasn't passing a foreign key because involve will be a table. Some relationships become tables only in the case of binary when there are many to many. So involve is a table, and it has the key from one of the participating entity sets, which is members, so social security number, and IID. Because it's a many-to-many, we're getting the keys from two places. So this is underline this together will be the primary key. The social security and the IID will be the key. And now involve has by itself an attribute. So that will be type. Type is not part of the key there. So then we close this. Now for foreign keys. In involve, social security is a foreign key and is part of the primary key. So that has to be in the description. So we will circle social security because it's a foreign key, and we will also circle IID because that will be a foreign key. Together, there will be primary key, but each one separate are foreign keys. This is similar with what we have in incidents. In incidents, remember that we created an additional table for consequences, and in consequences, IID is part of the primary key, that is IID with a consequence, but IID by itself will be a foreign key. Okay, so now, going to the last part of the diagram, which involves elections, sponsors, and three more relationships. When we study candidate, we say the candidates are one-to-many is passing a foreign key from members to elections. And manager will also pass a foreign key. So candidate, relationship candidate, and relation manager, they are not tables like we got in involved because there are not many-to-many. They are passing candidate keys to elections. So election is going to get two foreign keys there, and from sponsors, we don't get a foreign key because that's a many-to-many. Therefore, let's see, we can do here elections in this part. So elections. So we have the ID of the election. We have the date, type, location, position. We will underline ID to be the primary key. We need two foreign keys because we say that election has two relationships that are passing foreign keys, which is candidate and manager. Now, that is interesting that these two foreign keys are coming from the same entity set, which will make this confusing because then I'm passing social security twice to the same table, which it can be confusing because I'm going to have then two attributes with the same name, social security. However, they have different meaning because it's coming from two types of relationships. In this case, just passing the foreign key by itself may be not enough. We need to give some specific meaning that is coming from, even though it's coming from the same entity set, has different meaning. Like for example, one social security number is going to be for a candidate. So we can say social security number underscore candidate, comma, social security number again, but this is coming from manager. And that will be the last part that we need for elections, because elections is getting those two foreign keys, is not getting a foreign key from the sponsors, and we got all attributes. Now we will circle the first foreign key, which is Social Security for candidate, the second foreign key that is Social Security for manager. If we go back, for example, to table members, the first one that we did, that one we got a foreign key that was email. We didn't do any renaming because we got emailed once, so there wasn't not a possible confusion that what are we meaning with that. However, if I'm getting email multiple times, because there are multiple relationships that are passing that attribute, it will be a great idea to use some type of additional meaning on that attribute. Okay, we just have sponsors and a sponsor. Sponsor is a many-to-many. That's the case of relationship that becomes a relation. So then we're going to have a table that is going to be a sponsor. Now, a sponsor, because it's a many-to-many, is going to get the key of the two participating entity sets. The key from elections. So maybe I can even do some renaming here, which is election identification ID, and then the key from the sponsor is sponsor, I'm using the S, identification ID. Now we say that because it's a many-to-many, these two will be part of the key. Now, something else that is interesting on this many-to-many, that amount is multi-value attribute. Because it's a multi-value, then in this case, amount will have to be part of the candidate key. So we will be able to repeat the multiple amounts. So what this means is we're going to have the election and the sponsor identification, and then this will allow me to have multiple entries for that same sponsor on that same election. Look at on the other many-to-many relationship which is involved. If you look at the one that says involved, that is a many-to-many, it has one attribute which is type. Type was not multi-value. If you go and look at the result that we have here, the one that I'm looking at, have involved Social Security, the ID that were underlined, but type was not part of the primary key. That's the difference. So finally, we need sponsors. Sponsors is only participating with a many-to-many, so there is no key from there. So then there will be the final one that is sponsors, and it's getting no foreign key, so it's just the attributes that we got there. So it's ID, is the name, and type, font. So this concludes the mapping of the ER diagram into a set of relational schemas. And now what we will do next in a future video is these schemas needs to be transformed into actual tables. And for that, we're going to use a specific DBMS system to do the transformation into actual tables. What we need to remember from this video, the key points were that we had to identify the rules in when is that we're getting a foreign key, which is the case of a one-to-many, and one-to-one. And in the one-to-one, we made a decision which one of the entities was the most appropriate to hold the foreign key, because in the one-to-one, either one of the participating entities can have the foreign key. But in a one-to-many, there is no option. The many has to have the foreign key. In a many-to-many relationship, there wasn't an option. We had to create another table that has the primary keys from the two participating entity sets. Thank you.